Here I am sitting in front of you 6 years later saying, who the fuck do you think you were for doing that? It is a total disgrace what you did to this country. And if my Democrat colleagues are standing there defending you, I hope the voters of the United States of America watch the clips of every one of you doting on a guy who was more interested in being a celebrity than saving American people.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back. So the so-called Dr. Anthony Fauci, who is responsible for basically all the issues we experienced during COVID, was called to Capitol Hill to testify. And let's just say it wasn't a good day for Anthony Fauci, because for one, he chose to remain silent, which may cost him his freedom in the long run. And two, he tried to have his lawyer testify for him, where the committee had to literally drag his lawyer out the room. But let us get into it by starting with this video of Anthony Fauci's lawyer being dragged out of the committee. Watch this.
But the attorneys are not recognized. In fact, the attorney was told not to sit at the table, and he's not obeying that recommendation. There's a row behind you, sir. That's where you were told to sit, and you're not. And now you're disrupting the proceedings. And so, look, this is the way Anthony Fauci wants to be remembered, for a lawyer not listening to the rules. That's the way you want to be remembered, and that's what you're going to do. You are not recognized, sir. Security, please remove him from the room.
I just opened here.
That was one of Anthony Fauci's lawyers being dragged out of the courtroom after Anthony Fauci showed up with about 7 lawyers to testify for him. And the question is, why does Anthony Fauci doesn't want to testify for himself? Maybe he has something to hide. Maybe it's what was discovered to be in his diary, which we're going to get to in a bit. But here we have a video of Anthony Fauci asserting his Fifth Amendment right, which is his right. But at the end of the day, this may not protect him, because there's a possibility asserting his right in front of Congress today may cost him his freedom. But let's listen to this, and then we listen to the argument that Rand Paul and a few others are going to make against this asserting of his Fifth Amendment right. Watch this.
Although it pains me to do so, because of the respect I have for the legislative branch of government and my decades-long record of cooperating with Congress, under the advice of my attorneys, I will invoke my right under the Fifth Amendment of the Constitution to refrain from answering your questions. Thank you.
So that was Anthony Fauci refusing to testify in front of Congress, refusing to provide answers to the American people after everything he did during COVID, after all the heartache and pain he caused the American people during COVID. But the thing is, Anthony Fauci may have just shot himself in the foot by refusing to testify and asserting his Fifth Amendment privilege. And here is Senator Josh Hawley from Missouri explaining exactly that. Watch this.
Constitution.
Let's just get one thing straight. You don't have any rights under the Fifth Amendment because you've been pardoned, as you very well know. As the Supreme Court has been clear for a century and more, Brown versus Walker, 1896, when he has been pardoned, he may not stand upon his privilege. You know that. Your lawyers sitting behind you now shifting nervously in their chairs. They know it. This isn't about the Constitution. This isn't about the law. This is about contempt. Contempt for this body and contempt for the American people. But I think I know why you're doing it. It's because you don't want to answer questions. It's because you did all kinds of terrible things. It's because during the pandemic you got rich, didn't you? You got rich while people were dying.
So the argument here is that Anthony Fauci is protected from any prosecution if he committed any crimes from 2014 up until 2025 when Joe Biden pardoned him. But since he received a pardon, he cannot invoke his Fifth Amendment privilege. And him doing so in front of Congress today, that may result in him being held in contempt for obstructing Congress. And here we have Senator Rand Paul on that very same matter. Watch this.
The chairman has denied your assertion of privilege and directed you to answer, but you nonetheless refuse and stand on privilege despite the existence of the pardon. The committee will have to consider, after this hearing, what appropriate action should be taken against you for the failure to testify after being directed to do so. It's against the law to obstruct an investigation of Congress. There will be repercussions to your refusal to testify today. Senator Peters.
So now there's a possibility that Anthony Fauci may be held accountable for everything that he did during COVID. He's not going to be held accountable for that. But because of that, essentially he was pardoned and now he's obstructing Congress. And I think they should hold him in contempt of Congress because he showed up refusing to answer questions. And the only time that Anthony Fauci spoke during this entire hearing was when he was commenting on his diary, because a whole bunch of stuff was released from his diary which exposed the type of man that Anthony Fauci really is. And here's Anthony Fauci on that. Then we'll get into what was in his diary. Watch it.
Given Senator Paul's obvious obsession with calling for my prosecution, his repeated slanderous comments about me, and recently his publicly releasing my unredacted personal diary aimed at embarrassing and intimidating me, the only conclusion I can reach is that the sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars, unquote. Any reasonable person who has followed his unhinged obsession with me would readily come to the same conclusion.
So that was Anthony Fauci commenting on the release of the content from his diary. And what he's saying is that Rand Paul is obsessed with him, that Rand Paul want to see him behind bars. But let me just say Anthony Fauci is not just Rand Paul. I think over 75% of Americans probably want to see you be held accountable for everything that you did during COVID, the lies that you told, how you pretty much enriched yourself. And here we have that reporting on what's inside Anthony Fauci's diary, and I think this will shock you.
We got our hands on Dr. Anthony Fauci's diary. And viewer warning, we're going to read from it, and it's going to make you very angry. As thousands of Americans were dying every day, here's what America's top doctor wrote, secretly to himself. Dear diary, the press is going wild with me. It is not a hyperbole to say that today I am the most famous and talked about person in the country and one of the most recognizable persons in the world. The situation with my national and international fame is explosive and really unimaginable. The press is still hot and heavy about me. POTUS seems to be enamored of me, even though I am taking the spotlight away from him. Now, Fauci's writing about the press like it's a woman he's making love to. During the lockdowns, Fauci apparently spent hours Googling himself, reading every article, even going into the comments section. Dear diary, donuts are being named after me. T-shirts have my picture on them and are being sold. San Francisco radio is dedicating a song to me, coloring pictures with crayons for my picture. Me, 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 me. Fauci even saved cartoons of himself, of him looking like a superhero. Hero was actually one of his favorite words. In his diary, he mentioned it 50 times. His favorite word, though, not N95 or natural immunity, those words barely uttered. It was press. Press, mentioned over 600 times. For Fauci, doing press was like watching porn.
And there you have it. That brings us to the end of this video. Please let me know what you think in the comment section below. Also, please consider liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. And I'll see you in the next video. Thank you for watching all the way to the end.